Hi everyone, it's Jo here from my craft room. I've got something a little bit different for you today. I'm actually going to do a create with me video. I've been given a challenge by Joey Card Maker. I was watching one of his videos on YouTube and he was doing a hashtag grungy tag challenge 2026, which is hosted by Laurie at Piles of Paragraphs. But yeah, I was inspired to get back into the grunge. But Joey challenged me to actually film it. So thanks to Joey, I'm here. I'm not sure if it's a good idea or a bad idea. We shall see. The jury is out. Okay, so yeah, the tag challenge involves a monthly prompt. And for January, it is corrugated. You can see all the details on Laurie's channel, but I've written them down here as well if you want to take a screenshot. But I shall link Laurie's Instagram and YouTube in the description box. I'll also link Joey, and I shall put all my links down below as well in the description box. So yeah, for January we've got corrugated. So the obvious choice is to go with some corrugated cardboard here. I've got my tag. I've got some little bits that I may be adding to my tag. I've got some metal. I've got some little brads. I've got an eyelet there. They're all sort of brassy coloured. A bit of fabric, which I'll probably colour up. So we'll make a start. I think what I'll do first is apply some gesso to my corrugated cardboard. I put this over my mat. It gives me a good sort of screenshot of also there's a lot of reflection that comes off this. It's a glass mat, so yeah, there's quite a bit of reflection on it. So yeah, if I'm adding colour to things, I like to add a bit of gesso just to give it a good base so that not everything's soaking in like inks and stuff. So yeah, thanks to Joey, I'm here. But yeah, I'm sort of just, like I say, I've been MIA for the last year or so. I don't know, I just wasn't in the groove. Just needed to take a break, I think, from filming. I mean, I've been crafting behind the scenes. But my videos have only been flip-throughs of the journals that I've created, you know. And I've done flip-throughs once they've been completed. And the flip-throughs were there for, you know, for anyone that was interested in seeing what I'd created, and also for them that wanted to buy them. I've closed my Etsy shop for now. I was finding none of my journals were selling. I think everyone's just skint at the minute. Let's get that into some water. I'll just dry that off. So yeah, the gesso just creates a layer for the inks to sit on. Otherwise they just sort of soak through. I'm going to try and create like a wall of corrugated iron that you get in the street sometimes. It looks old and weathered and patinaed, been around for a while kind of a look. But I think what I'm going for here is like a little urban garden kind of thing. I'm going to put some flowers in, and that's dry. I'm going to get some gloves on. I've got some mica stains here, which I'm going to add to try and give it a sort of metal look. I'm going to get some gloves on for that. I'm going out later and I don't want to get my hands absolutely covered. What I'm going to do first is get some scorched timber around the edges. I'm still on camera here. Just over the raised edges. I'll probably add some more again to that at the end once I've coloured it. So yeah, the first mica stain I think we'll use is Fallen Acorn. These are distress mica stains from Tim Holtz. That's the first one. I'll dry that bit off. Yeah, if you've got any questions, I mean obviously this is my first one. Hopefully I'm explaining myself all right, but if you've got any questions, just please ask them down below in the comments. I suppose it gives me an opportunity to introduce myself a little bit. My name's Josephine, that's the title of my channel, but everyone calls me Jo. At the moment I'm staying in, I'll say at the moment, this is where I live now. I stay at Berwick-upon-Tweed, which is like the northernmost town in England. It's just on the border with Scotland. And I moved up here when my father passed away. It's about 2009 that was. Just to be closer to my mum. And I stayed ever since. My mum has hence passed away also. She passed away in the last 3 years. Yeah, I think I'll go for what am I going for? I'll start with the rusty colour, I think. The nozzle's not working on this one, I don't think. This one is Jack-o'-lantern. And I think I'll just put little bits on there. You can get any out. So it gives it a bit of a rusty look. I find with a lot of these distress inks, sometimes the nozzles don't work, which is a bit infuriating. can't find myself putting up with it because I love the products. But yeah, Tim Holtz, I believe he's retired now, but there still seems to be things being released, so I'm not sure if it's 100% retired yet. But we've got lots of creators out there making lots of goodies for us, whether it be digitals or stuff you can buy. The UK is not great for supplies, to be honest. I mean, we have a place called Hobbycraft which has some things, but it's pretty limited. And if you're not sort of looking for more specialised stuff, yeah, there's not an awful lot of choice. So a lot of it comes from across the pond. But yeah, I've done crafting for a number of years, well, since as far back as I can remember, from being a child, and my grandmother teaching me how to knit and crochet, and being at school and learning various crafts there, needlework and stuff. I've done sewing, I've done card making, but journals I started to make. I'd watched loads of videos which were inspiring me, and I thought I just love them. So I thought I'd dabble in making some journals. I don't actually journal myself, but I love creating the journals. But yeah, I started them in about 2019, back end of, and I've been doing them ever since. This one is Bubbling Cauldron. It's just a green tinge on there. I'm going to dry that off. But yeah, I'm originally from Yorkshire, as you can probably tell by my accent, if you're from the UK. I think I'll be staying in Berwick now. It's a lovely place to be. You're sort of bang in the middle between Newcastle and Edinburgh, so you've got city life if you crave it. We're also on the main East Coast Railway line, it goes from London to Aberdeen. So it covers a lot of area of the UK, so that's handy too. But Berwick itself is steeped in history. We are surrounded by some, well, Berwick itself has the Elizabethan walls surrounding it. But there's been a lot of conflict in the borders between England and Scotland in the distant past. And I think Berwick has changed hands with Scotland about 13 times. We are now in England. Who knows if we'll stay in England? There may be future conflicts adrift that I'm unaware of. I don't know, it's a lovely place, is Berwick, but all of Northumberland and the Scottish borders there's history galore, and I just love it. There's loads of places to explore. I'm really selling it, aren't I? But yeah, there's some beautiful beaches up here. A lot of them pretty much, you know, you have them to yourself. So that's great. I'll just make sure that's completely, yeah, I think that's dry. So I think I might get some more Scotch timber on there. It's starting to come away now. But yeah, there's lots of crafters on YouTube. There's inspiration everywhere. In fact, on Instagram as well. Pinterest is another good place to look. So if you're just starting out, just try and make something. You don't have to film it, but just get your feelers in and build up your stash. That's fun as well, although sometimes it's hard to know when to stop. Lots of vintage stuff. I mean, go to charity shops, no, op shops, or what else are they called, thrift shops, flea markets, jumble sales even. So I think I've grunged that up enough. Just get this stuck down again. That's going to drive me a bit mad. Well, it's greaseproof paper, and the trouble is nothing sticks to it. Right. So yeah, I think that's quite aged there. I like how some of the gesso seep through as well, because it looks like it's, like, you know, the patina of the, you know, how iron gates get. So what we're going to do next. Right, I've got a die cut here. This is a die cut from Tim Holt Sizzix. I think it's Flower Field, I think it's called, or Field Flowers. I think I'm going to put some colour on it. Well, I am going to put some colour on it. I've got some oxide inks here. I'm going to paint some colours on. Now this is really handy, although a paintbrush and water will do nicely. But this is actually a watercolour pen which you can fill with water, so you've always got it to hand. The nib easily cleans off between colours. Right, so first of all I think I'll use mustard seed. And what I do is just, if you can see here, just dab my paintbrush in and just add the colour. It's a nice bright yellow there. I'll do another colour. So I've just got a wet wipe there, just clean my nib. And then we can start on another colour. I'll go with Fired Brick. And these look like poppies here, so I'll do them red. I've gone quiet here, haven't I? But yeah, these distress inks are pretty versatile. I use them for all sorts of things, dyeing papers. That is brilliant at dyeing papers. And like I say, if you've covered your area with gesso first, you put your ink on, then add some water afterwards. You get some lovely mottled effects. But yeah, it does help to add the gesso first though, in my opinion. Because I was finding, even though I added the water, you know, if I hadn't applied the gesso, it was just seeping in and you wouldn't get the effects. So that's a bit of a hint there. Well, it doesn't, you know, it can be clear gesso, doesn't have to be white gesso. I'll just go back to the red a bit there. Oh, I missed one. There we go. And we've got some seedless preserves. That blue was chipped sapphire. Heavy concentration going on here. So I'm getting the duller colours down first, and then I'll add some green to the stems. Just add a bit more of the yellow down the bottom there. Okay, it's quite an intricate dye, this. I find the Sizzix ones, they do cut really well. Let's have a look here. Let's do a bit of rusty hinge. A bit of orange. But yeah, you can find, I mean, I'm used to sitting here crafting with my music on and just whiling away the hours. So I'm gonna have to get used to speaking. Yeah, like I say, even though I've been away from the camera for about a year, I have still been crafting behind the scenes. Just been finding my flow again, I suppose. Sometimes we need to take a break. Right, I need to find a green one now, and I've got one out here, which is Rustic Wilderness. I'm I'm going into quite a bit of detail here, but this is what I'm used to. It is so therapeutic doing something like this as well. But you can see how you can just get a plain die cut and just get some inks. You can use watercolor paints, it doesn't have to be distress oxides. And just get some watercolors and create the design that you want, rather than something that's already created for you. Might put a bit more colour there. Add the green to the bottom, but I'll also be adding some more inks to grunge that up a bit, and to go around the edges of the die cut. Yeah, get a bit more colour on those bits. I think I'll do a little bit more purple. Where's the lid? More blue. And more red. I think I'll just finish that bit there in green, I think, or maybe a bit more yellow on that bottom bit. And there we are. I'll just get these out of the way. I'll just dry that off. So I hope you've all had a good start to the new year and had lots of fun during the holidays. I actually spent Christmas all on my own this year. But I absolutely loved it. I do work part-time, and normally I would be working at Christmas, but this year it just happened to fall on my usual days off. So I thought I'd actually take it off and have some fun all to myself. And it was, honestly, it was really, really good. And as soon as I got up, I got refreshed myself and got myself into a clean pair of pyjamas, and I stayed in them all day. And I just watched, I think, what did I watch? Oh yeah, Home Alone, Love Actually, The King's Speech, of course. I mean, that's the law. So yeah, adding the inks afterwards just gives it a little bit of light and shadow. And of course, grunge. Just got to be careful with the fragile ones here. This is vintage photo I'm using, actual distress ink, not oxide. I think I might darken the base a little bit more. There's a scorched timber there. I think I've still got enough on my pad to just give me what I need there. And I think that's okay. So that's gonna go on there. Like that. I've got some other little elements here. I think I'm going to use this lady. It's going to be on there. I found this element from Tim Holtz, which I might stick on the corrugated iron. So I think we'll do that next. Just get these gloves off. They're driving me mad. So let's ink this up a bit. In fact, I'll distress it a bit with some sandpaper. Make it look a bit older, a bit more ragged. Any sandpaper will do. And get some ink on. And that to the scorched timber. Put that on there. Now I've got some metal brads here. It's the smaller ones I want, I think, for the sign. And my pookie tool. And we'll get some little brads in there. I always like to add a bit of metal to my grunge. That's the holes. So I'll get the brads in there. Always a fiddly bit. I suppose you'd class all this as mixed media, to be honest, because I'm using different things like fabric, metal, inks, etc., like the cardboard and paper elements. But when I first started out, I was just using plain like scrapbook paper, and I was sort of finding that I couldn't find what I wanted, so inevitably I sort of just pushing them down, trying to work out how to make things myself. Yeah, I think I'll stick that up there. So I'll get some glue. So this is just collall. I think that's how you pronounce it. All-purpose glue. Just make sure these metal bits are hidden at the back. Yeah, it does smell a bit, does collall. I also use high tack, which is a white glue, dries clear. I haven't really got an example bottle because I've decanted it. But yeah, I find collag's good for fabric and paper, but it does have a very strong smell, which can get to you if you're using a lot of it in one go. I'll bring that down a bit, so that's straight. I'll get this stuck down as well. I think I'll pause you when I'm gluing that one. Because it's quite intricate. It's going to take a while, so I'll just pause you for a minute. Go find the pause button. Hello, I'm back. As you can see, I've jumped quite a bit. I thought I'd switched you back on, and I hadn't. I'd switched you off. So I do apologise, but this is the only bit of corrugated cardboard I've got at this size, so I can't really redo it. So I'll just explain to you what I've done. As you saw, I stuck the advertisement plate there. That's an element from Tim Holtz. I've stuck down the foliage, the wildflowers on there, and I've stuck down the lady. I also, what I did with the paper doll was sand around the edges and added scorched timber to the edges just to get rid of the white on there. And I've stuck the corrugated card onto a sturdy, it's a 300 GSM cardstock in ivory colour, and I've just added some vintage photo to the back there. I've also added it to the sides, and just in case you see any of that. What else have I done? and I've added some more brads to the corners up there. Yeah, so what I'm going to do now that we've caught up, but I hope that's clear. Obviously I've cut the corners to the tag shape, and I'll just trim round the rest of the card now so that it's all flush. What you can also do to tags as well to get them really grungy is add a bit of black or dark brown sewing. I have a washing machine. Yes, I've got one of those as well, but I've got a sewing machine, just a basic one that does straight stitches and zigzag stitches, and that sometimes gives a nice effect to cards as well. There we are, that's that trimmed. So I'll just give that another little inking just in case. You can never have enough. There's a bit of shadow there at the lady's feet. There we are. So what I'm going to do now is stick an eyelet in the tag and a bit of fabric as well. I'll just clear the decks a little bit. I'm not used to working in such a small space. Right, so I've got a brass eyelet here. Let's get me crocodile. Okay, and I've got a bit of this stuff. Now this, I got a brilliant idea. I mean, I use a lot of cheesecloth and stuff like that, but I was watching Crafty by Tony, and she bought these produce bags, which are these sort of stringy bags, you know, which you put your groceries in. And you can really sort of grunge them up a bit. Let's get my gloves back on. I'm going to put some colour on it using the oxide inks. Okay, there's a bit of no, not that one. Which one am I going for? Bit of green. And I'll get some Scotch timber oxide as well. Right, and what I'm going to do is just brush it on straight onto the fabric. Do it on both sides. of the Scotch timber. I'm not going to use all of this fabric, but means I've got some for another project further down the line. There we are. I'm going to add some water to that, just to make sure all the colours sink into the fabric. Just squidge it up a bit. Mix it all in. I'm just going to dry this off now, so I'll pause you again and I'll see you in a minute. Hello, I'm back. So I've dried that off. This is the last element now, so we're getting close to the end. I'll just try and get that through the hole. Quite a chunky piece. That's when it's helpful to have a metal eyelet in there, because then you don't tear your project. Okay. There we are. Let's tighten that up a bit. Give it a trim. Just tatty it up a bit. And there we have it. That's our grungy tag. Corrugated element for January. So thanks again, Laurie, for the challenge, and I'll see you next month in February. I hope this video hasn't been too long for you. This is my first attempt, and sorry about the missing bits as well, but I shall intend to do better. All right. I hope I did all right, Joey. I'll see you again soon. Bye.